And I know this is something dear to your heart. Thank God for Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, who has followed through on her promise of parental rights in Alberta. I'm going to play a video in a second, and then I'm going to show you the reaction from people who claim to love children. And if you think a 10-year-old should be getting a sex change operation on a whim because he or she wakes up one day and says, I really feel like I'm not the same sex today, I want to have my sex change operation. If you think people who support that love children, they don't. They hate children. They love woke ideology. That's what those people are all about. This is common sense politics. This is common sense thinking. The parents have rights over the children, not the state, not the classroom, not the teachers, not the school board, not even the government. No, parents. And children should not be subject to the whims of woke ideologists who think they are the ones who know best for children. Now, I applaud Danielle Smith for doing this. And we're going to show you the video, and then we're going to show you the reaction from the usual suspects who hate children.
Go over some of the specifics to expect in the legislation. Firstly, licensed Alberta doctors will be prohibited from performing gender assignment surgeries on youth under the age of 18 in Alberta. Puberty blockers and hormone therapies for the purpose of gender reassignment for minors under the age of 16 will also be prohibited unless a minor has already commenced their treatment at this time. For 16 and 17-year-olds wishing to proceed with puberty blockers or other hormone therapies for the purpose of gender reassignment, they may do so only if they have parental, psychologist, and doctor approval. In our schools, the proposed legislation will now require parental notification and consent for a teacher or staff member to change a child's name or pronoun and publicly use that new name or pronoun in a classroom setting or school assembly. And to be clear, this does not mean reporting or outing a student for their private conversations with friends or teachers regarding their gender identity. For 16 or 17-year-olds who choose to alter their name or pronoun used in school, they may do so without parental consent, so long as parents are still notified in advance. In those extremely rare circumstances where a teacher feels that a child might be at risk should the parents be notified of a desired name or pronoun change, Alberta Education will provide a protocol to ensure the protection of that child throughout the parental notification process. I am convinced that parents, even those who may disagree with the decision of their child, will still love and care for that child no matter what choices they make. It would be wise for all of us to remember that, rather than questioning the love of parents and their paramount role as the primary caregivers and teachers of their children. In addition, the newly proposed legislation will require parental notification and a parental opt-in requirement for each instance a teacher intends to address issues or subject matter involving gender identity, sexual orientation, or human sexuality. Furthermore, the provision of resource materials or presentations to students related to these subjects in our K-12 schools must be approved by the Ministry of Education to ensure age appropriateness and relevance to school curriculum. And finally, as it pertains to women and girls in competitive sports, proposed legislation will be tabled that prohibits individuals born biologically male from competing against women and girls in competitive sporting competitions. This will apply to all competitive women's and girls' sports in all provincial sporting organizations, as well as in our schools and post-secondary competitive sporting divisions.
Thank God. This is common sense thinking. This is common sense policy. This is common sense politics. And anybody who's out there saying Danielle Smith didn't go far enough, maybe she didn't, but she's gone farther than most politicians in this country are prepared to do. And I applaud her for that. I applaud political courage. And she's already taking it on the nose for this from the usual suspects, from the usual idiots who really think they know best for your children. Uh-huh. Because what if you decide you want a sex change operation at 10? And a little later in life, you say, that was a horrible mistake I made. Pretty hard to detransition in this country. because we really have enshrined this mythological gender-affirming care as a basis of healthcare. It's not healthcare. It's mutilation. There is no such thing as gender-affirming care. It's a euphemism for destruction. And this is the woman for diversification. What the minister of diversification. And she's Marcy Yen. Premier Smith is doubling down on her plans to target trans youth. Yeah, there's just millions of these trans youth waiting to have sex change operations at 10. And this is harmful if they don't get a sex change operation. These people are out of their minds. And the idiot journalists who are out there saying, oh, this is harmful to kids. I read one this morning. I'm not even going to mention this idiot's name, but saying that somehow this will put kids in general in harm's way. That this is bad for kids because it's going to put their lives at risk because they can't have sex change operate. That is irresponsible. That is lunatic. That is completely nonsensical. And she says this conversation is only for adults. Yeah, it is. Just like the conversation about whether or not you should be driving a car at 10 years old is a conversation for adults. We don't ask 10-year-olds, do you think you should be driving a car, Johnny? Yeah, I do. Oh, okay. That's fine. We'll change all the laws because the 10-year-old says so. How about if Johnny says, I think I should go to a liquor store and buy alcohol at 10? Well, that's the conversation we reserve for adults too. So is permanently, in some cases, mutilating a child's body because the 10-year-old thinks they have the knowledge to make that decision. They think they have the life experience to make that decision, and they're going to regret that maybe in 4 months. But I love this. Here's our euthanasia czar, Mark Holland. This is the man who's so adept at expanding our euthanasia law in this country. So it includes more and more Canadians that the Liberal government can euthanize. And Mark, of course, who's always having the nervous breakdown.
What are you doing in here?
I'm having a nervous breakdown.
Yes, Mark is saying, I am concerned by Premier Smith's announcement regarding gender-affirming care in Alberta. Healthcare decisions, including gender-affirming care, which is a nonsense word, should be made between families and their doctors. It's exactly what she's doing, you idiot. You're the one who wants the government to decide. You're the one who wants the school and the teachers, the school board to decide. You're the one, like Justin Trudeau, who thinks the state should be raising our children. And look at the response here. All of the countries in Europe are coming around to the realization that children should not be making decisions about having sex change operations or taking puberty blockers. This is the trend in the world today. This common sense is finally coming back in some quarters to some politicians' minds. That's the reality today. Premier Danielle Smith is on the trending line. She is in agreement with what's happening in the world today. Mark Holland and Justin Trudeau and Marcy Yang are not. They are opposing common sense. They are opposing science, as they love to say. They are at odds with not just parents, but the health and the safety of children in Canada. They are endangering the safety of children in Canada. In fact, it's Holland and it's Trudeau and it's and it's all of these people who want sex change operations for little children who are putting the lives of Canadian children at risk. Those are the facts, people. And that's what we're up against in terms of the feeble opposition to what Danielle Smith is doing in Alberta. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, folks. Don't listen to Justin Trudeau. We need this kind of attitude in Canada right now because, let me tell you, Justin Trudeau will fight tooth and nail to stay as leader of the Liberal Party and as Prime Minister of Canada, and he will use every trick in the Liberal handbook to do that. So we have to be vigilant, and we have to have perseverance to fight this battle to the end. As I've been saying since this station went on the air, we need to resolve to resist. And we need to fight for our free speech and our democratic rights to say what we believe, to speak, as John Diefenbaker said. And don't forget that t-shirt that's available out there in the store. I speak as a free Canadian, free to speak, free to believe in what I choose. And Justin Trudeau is not going to interfere with that. Thanks for being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right Resistance, and we'll see you again soon. So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need a political change, but we also need to resolve to resist.